Hello out there, all you wonderful people. This is Andre, the Game Idea Guy. Thank you once again for lending me your time and your ear, listening into another Gamer's Thoughts discussion. And I'm going to be talking about my issues with other people's issues with the existence of exclusive games. Now, I've covered this subject multiple times, and I'm going to do it again because I don't know if people are actually understanding the point, especially on the PC side of things. But there's a reason that I'm singling you guys out in a minute. I'll get back to you. But people dislike exclusivity, and they say this mainly when it comes down to the multiple console platforms. I should be able to pick up any console and play any game that is being released in the current time period. I agree to that to a certain extent. Now, if there are no contractual agreements for like a game to be exclusive to a single platform, then yes, you should be able to pick up that game on any platform that is available at that time. Or if there are actual technical difficulties as to why it can't work, like the hardware can't actually process the game. But good coders can make a game work. Just depends on who's doing the coding and who's cleaning the code. But if the exclusives are such a problem, then should third-party game developers not own their own franchises? Because whether people want to realize it or not, Street Fighter is exclusive to Capcom. Resident Evil is exclusive to Capcom. Mega Man is exclusive to Capcom. Castlevania, that's exclusive to Konami. SNK, King of Fighters exclusive to SNK. Fatal Fury exclusive to SNK. Sengoku exclusive to SNK. Metal Slug exclusive to SNK. I don't know why I jumped off of Konami so fast when I know so many franchises from Konami. Metal Gear exclusive to Konami. Contra exclusive to Konami. Do you really dislike exclusives? Because that would mean that anyone should be allowed to take anyone else's IP and make a game off of it and make profit from it. And just so you know, if these game companies can't make profit off of their games, then guess what? They can't keep making them. Especially if someone else can make a profit off of their work and just take it when it becomes popular and do whatever they want with it. Like, come on. Do you really want to have EA make a Contra? Probably not. I mean, you might not want Konami to do it right now, but still. Or would you like, let's say, would you like BioWare to make a Super Mario Brothers game? Probably not. They may not do that great of a job because that's not their forte. I mean, would you want Capcom to take the time to try to build a Mass Effect? Probably not. At least not current Capcom anyway. Maybe back in the day I probably would have been like, yeah, let them do it. But current Capcom, no. I'm just thinking, would you want Galaxy Trail to make Resident Evil? And I know Galaxy Trail is a small indie studio, but would you want them to make Resident Evil? Probably not. That's not their forte. Oh, actually, it's not Capcom's forte right now, but that's another story. Thing is, companies own licensing and rights to these games. So, in a sense, those games are exclusive to those companies. And it's up to them to decide how they distribute it, along with whatever contracts they can set up. So you can't say you just dislike exclusives. And I know somebody's going to say, well, Andre, obviously they're talking about what you said before. It's just the platforms. But it goes deeper than just the platforms. That's the problem people aren't paying attention to. It goes way deeper than just the platforms the games are available on. It goes down to the companies that own the licensing for these games. I'm not going to lie. I would love a new F-Zero game, but if I saw F-Zero and it was being made by Electronic Arts, I would not want that game. I would not want it to exist. Or if I saw a Castlevania game that was being made by, what's the company? Name of the company, everything. If I saw Castlevania being made by Ubisoft, I probably wouldn't be interested in it. Now, unless I know like the people that are working on that Castlevania game may have been people that already developed them outside of Lords of Shadow. I just wouldn't want that. Because chances are it's not going to be that tailored experience that I'm looking for, that I know that series is known for. And I would not sit down and play a Mega Man game made by Double Helix. I just very likely would not. Now, unless they had a lot of oversight and like that's the thing. It comes with a lot of caveats. But if we were just talking like just straight up, this company made this game and put it out as a production studio on it. There are plenty of games I would not want to play if the original companies or the original licensures did not have that game produced or made. Because they know that game at least well enough to know what the audience is expecting out of it. And someone else may come in with newer ideas that just don't fit well with that series. That could tank it, that could kill it. I mean, that can obviously happen with the people that own the licensures as well, but it's not as likely to happen. Unless they run it into the ground. Like Ubisoft is doing with Assassin's Creed. And speaking of which, would anyone want Beyond Good and Evil that was made and produced by Naughty Dog? Sure, they've done adventure games, but they haven't done Beyond Good and Evil. They haven't worked on it. Then again, honestly, I probably wouldn't want Ubisoft to do it right now if they can't tell us exactly what the game is about and how they made the leap they made. But that's beside my point. If you don't like exclusives, then you don't like companies owning their IPs. And I like companies owning their IPs. Because that means that they can always go back to them. They can make them again. Hell, I want companies to actually dive deeper into the IPs that they actually own. I mean, look, I'm as much as I love old school Rareware, I would not want I would not want to have who is it? There's too many game companies in my mental roster right this second. But I wouldn't want Sierra Interactive working on Conker's Bad Fur Day or Jet Force Gemini. I just would not want those. Especially if they were trying to keep the games in the same vein that they were in. That's not really where their stuff, their bread and butter sits. They just don't sit in that realm. And that would be a problem. Just thinking, I think Sierra Interactive actually is a closed studio now I'm thinking about it. I could be wrong. And this brings me to the PC guys. You don't like the idea of multiple platforms, correct? So how many of you are exclusive to one launcher for games? Because I can tell you, chances are you're not exclusive to very many. And if you are exclusive to some, that means you're missing out on games on another platform that's available on PC. It may not seem like much, but you don't have the option if you exclude certain platforms. Like if there's somebody who plays on PC, but they exclude all of the Xbox stuff that's on PC. Okay, so you just cut yourself off a bunch of games. May not be a lot because some of them do go to Steam, but say you don't launch with Steam. You are Epic exclusive. That means you may not get that game. Or you don't use Epic. Hey, maybe you go to Good Old Games. There are going to be games that you can't get. Hell, even with G.I.G, there are going to be games that are not compatible with your platform, with your PC. Then you have EA's launcher. You have Ubisoft's launcher. There are so many different launchers. It is ridiculous. Which means that there are a lot of different games that may be available in certain places that aren't going to be available to others. If you go to Amazon Games Launcher, while you will get a bunch of games steadily, there's going to be a bunch of stuff you miss out on if you're exclusive to those particular launchers or those particular platforms. If people like options and you dislike exclusivity, that means you want everybody to have everything. I don't dislike that in theory, but that doing it that way cuts down on competition. And let's not even jump into the VR space, because VR, there are like three or four current VR platforms now, and each of them has their own exclusive games. Yeah, there are some that are shared among the group, but they each have their own exclusive games. So you mean to tell me that someone shouldn't be allowed to have a reason for you to buy into their platform? If everything's everywhere, then you only actually need one platform to exist. If only one platform exists, then everything's homogenized. So you'll see a lot of the same game types that are popular be the ones that will constantly be in rotation, which would kind of kill out like a lot of the indie scene, which are coming up with creative new things. Because, hey, they're either going to try to copy the bigger guys and not put their own spin on it, or when they do put their spin on it, it's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to be successful enough for them to be sustainable. Exclusivity is limiting, yes. But it's not limiting to the point where it's destroying anything. It's just limiting to say, hey, this is mine. I'm putting this out. And hey, I'm putting it out on my platform where I can maximize how much I make because I don't spend as much to produce the game for my platform. And then even without that, like, okay, third parties, like, I own these games. I own these licenses. I own these series. These are exclusive to my house. I choose where they go. I choose who they're available to. That's not a problem to me. All it is choice. Unless you don't want to have the companies that own the games to have choices as to where they put their games, and then that's a personal problem for you. But if Capcom came up with a game launcher today and said they are removing their stuff off of every other game platform for PC because of their own launcher, it's well within their rights. It is well within their rights. Now, I wouldn't be all that happy about it myself, but it's within their rights. They could do that. EA did something similar. So companies have their options to do that, like this happening with streaming services right now. So again, let the companies do with their products what they would like to. So Nintendo doesn't want to make their games available on any other platform. They don't have to. Microsoft wants to have some exclusive games to themselves, they can. Sony wants to have some exclusive games to themselves, they can. That's their prerogative. It should not be a thing to argue over. Exclusivity, yes, it does impose some limits. It does impose, hey, if I really want this, I have to go and pay the entry fee to get it. That's it. Or I have to go and download that particular app that I wasn't interested in downloading so that I can have access to this particular game to be able to play it for the PC crowd. And don't even act like mobile games are free of this. There are some games that are on Android that are not on iOS, and some that are on iOS that are not on Android. Exclusivity just breeds competition. Like, yo, hey, you guys have Mario, we have Sonic. Hey, we have Crash Bandicoot. Yo, we've got Spyro. We have Pac-Man. That's kind of how it works. Though Pac-Man's not a platformer. He's still iconic and within that realm. Everybody has their own game that can, or their own games that fit their style of game development. Now, I will always say I wish the developers took more time to clean up their code, to remove the glaring issues without all these day one patches. But I am not against them being able to put games on platforms that they want to put them on, or having their own platform and deciding to put games on that platform for themselves. I'm not against that. And I understand, hey, yeah, there's a lot of people that dislike the idea of exclusivity, but just think about what that would mean if you completely remove exclusivity from the industry. What that could mean for some of your favorite IPs, how bad it could actually be. Because I'm sorry, I do not want Konami making a Legend of Zelda. I just don't. I don't want them to. Because they may get the baseline of the idea right, but they may take the storyline and stuff in a horrible direction. And I would most definitely want to, just by extension, stay away from Kojima with Metroid. Just wouldn't want it to happen. It just, no, I can't have that happen. So it's just things to think about. Just seriously, for people that do not like the idea of exclusive games, I'm not against your thought process completely. I just think that you don't really look deeper down the rabbit hole that you wish to create. So that's why I'm just like, there's a lot more to it than just the platform exclusivity. Because you have to think about who owns the licenses and the games themselves, because if you remove that, they don't own it anymore. And anyone can do whatever they want with it. Which for some of the fan game community, that would be great. But for the companies that actually want to make official versions of their games, that would be horrible. Because you could have a bunch of companies come out with the same characters in their game. Which, again, would homogenize the market. Trust me, if everyone could get their hands on Mario, like if all these companies could legally get their hands on Mario, they would take him. And then he would be screwed into oblivion. Same thing for a character like Mega Man or Sonic, who's partially been screwed thanks to Sega. It would happen with a lot of characters and a lot of different IPs. You would want to know what would happen to Call of Duty. Well, actually, I think Call of Duty is pretty much on that path anyway. But it would definitely be completely dead. And anything that would be a major movie license franchise or based off of another IP, oh gosh, you can forget it. Everything would be screwy. So exclusivity isn't horrible. It just has some negatives, just like a world without exclusivity would. At least that's my take. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but I doubt that with me explaining it, that people would be like, well, maybe he is completely off his rocker. I probably am. But I think, honestly, that could be a possibility of completely removing exclusivity because it would remove licenses. If you hold exclusivity over something, that means you are keeping others from being able to use it. So trademarks and copyrights would then become pointless, is all I'm saying. I mean, and somebody else can come back and correct me. Maybe I'm wrong on this. Maybe I am completely wrong. But again, it's just something to think about. But I'm going to call it a day here. Thank you guys very much for listening in. Keep your eyes and ears out for more stuff from me. And until the next time, enjoy your games and peace out, everybody.